guys, if you're new to Deception Bytes, hit the like and subscribe button and be sure to hit the bell to be notified of future videos. If you wish to support the channel, the links are in the description below. Now, fasten your seatbelt. Here we go. Hi guys, it's Mishel, Deception Bytes, and we're back. It is Saturday, November 11th, and it's 9:31 p.m. Eastern Time. You're probably thinking, what took you so long? Well, have you seen the number of posts that Q has made yesterday and today? Like, whoa. And they're not easy posts. Some of them took quite a while to decode. So anyway, let's jump in. We've got a couple from the 9th to get to, and then we're going to jump on into the 10th. So let's get at her. I hope you're ready. I was born ready. I bet you were too. So let's go. Now, this is the first one, picking up from where we left off in the last video. And Q says, logical thinking required. Now, boy, he's not kidding. This post busted my butt. It really did. So, A, how can arrests occur prior to removing the corruption from the DOJ and the FBI? They can't. They can't. Because if you've got a corrupt DOJ and FBI, if you bring something to them involving the deep state, you know what's going to happen. The same thing that happened with Hillary's email. They're going to cover it up and do whatever because there's still corruption there. So nothing can be done prior to removing the corruption from the DOJ and FBI, and we know that. I know that's the right answer. How can arrests occur prior to safely securing a majority in the Supreme Court, Constitution, rule of law? They can't. You can't have arrests before that happens, because if you don't know how the Supreme Court is going to rule on these different things and you make these arrests and then they're let go, I mean, you got one shot at some of this stuff. So yeah, they can't. They can't have the arrest prior to all this stuff being cleaned up and being assured of a majority in the Supreme Court. What is the role of the Senate? Well, let's go here and take a look at what the role of the Senate is. And it's going out slowly, I guess. Here it is. United States Senate. One of the two houses of the legislature, Congress of the United States, established in 1789 under the Constitution. Each state elects 2 senators for 6-year terms. The terms of about 1/3 of the Senate membership expire every 2 years, earning the chamber the nickname, the House That Never Dies. That's not all that important, but the role of the Senate was conceived by the Founding Fathers as a check on the popularly elected House of Representatives. Thus, each state, regardless of size or population, is equally represented. Further, until the 17th Amendment of the Constitution in 1913, election to the Senate was indirect by the state legislatures. They are now elected directly by voters of each state. So the Senate shares with the House of Representatives responsibility for all lawmaking within the United States. For an act of Congress to be valid, both houses must approve an identical document. The Senate is given important powers under the advice and consent provisions, Article 2, Section 2 of the Constitution. Ratification of treaties requires a 2/3 majority of all senators present and a simple majority for approval of important public appointments, such as those of cabinet members, ambassadors, and justices of the Supreme Court. The Senate also adjudicates impeachment proceedings initiated in the House of Representatives, a 2/3 majority being necessary for conviction, which they'll never get, because even though the Senate or the House now has a Democrat majority, they don't have a 2/3 majority. So I don't think that they, and even if they did, they would have to have 2/3 majority in the House and in the Senate, and that will never happen. So anyway, As in the House of Representatives, political parties and the committee system dominate procedure and organization. Each party elects a leader, generally a senator of considerable influence in his or her own right, to coordinate Senate activities. The leader of the largest party is known as the majority leader, while the opposition leader is known as the minority leader. The Senate leaders also play an important role in appointing members of their party to the Senate committees, which consider and process legislation and exercise general control over government agencies and departments. The Vice President of the United States serves as the President of the Senate, but can vote only in instances where there is a tie. In the Vice President's absence, the President pro tempore, generally the longest serving member from the majority party, is the presiding officer of the Senate. Okay, so that gives us an overview, and let's go back to what Q is telling us, because let me tell you, it's a lot. Now, he's asking, what is the role of Goodlatte? Well, he chaired the House Judiciary Committee. What was the role of Gowdy, Trey Gowdy? He was the representative, he was a representative, obviously, hang on here. Gowdy served, it should be served, on the House committees on education and the workforce, ethics, judiciary and oversight, and government reform. He also served as chairman of the subcommittee on immigration and border security for the Judiciary Committee. And I am just going down the list here and answering the questions as Q asks them. I hope that this is a way that we can maybe work towards an understanding of what he's wanting us to know. And hopefully I got all the questions right. I don't know, I think so, but if I didn't, somebody can correct me. I have all the faith in the world in you guys. All right, now what is the role of Sessions, or what was the role of Sessions? He was the Attorney General. Now, Q tells us Goodlatte, Gowdy, and Sessions all resigned. And he says it again. Goodlatte, Gowdy, and Sessions all resigned. Who did Sessions appoint in November 2017? Well, that would be Huber. And let's go out to this link because it's what comes next. So Q wants us to go out and look at this. And here we are. Sessions, federal prosecutor evaluating alleged FBI, DOJ wrongdoing, no special counsel for now. Now, this tells us, okay, Attorney General Jeff Sessions revealed Thursday a federal prosecutor was evaluating certain issues involving the FBI, the Clinton Foundation, and Uranium One, but said he would not appoint a second special counsel at this point. Now, hang on here. We don't want that. In a letter directed to the Senate Judiciary Chairman Chuck Grassley, House Judiciary Committee Chairman Bob Goodlatte, and House Oversight Committee Chairman Trey Gowdy, Sessions revealed that he asked U.S. Attorney John Huber, and this is the important part, to lead the evaluation into issues raised by the committees in recent months. So these committees, the House Oversight Committee and the House Judiciary Committee, all the issues that they brought up, you know, Uranium One, Clinton Foundation, emails, blah, blah, blah. Okay, all of that, that was Huber's job to look into that. Okay, so, and Sessions said, I write in response to recent letters requesting the appointment of a special counsel to review certain prosecutorial and investigative determinations made by the Department of Justice and blah, blah, blah. Okay, so instead of appointing a special counsel, and we went through all of this with the Q stuff back, so we shouldn't have to revisit that, but we know that it was better in the long run to appoint Huber than to appoint a second counsel. And so that's what we got. Now, I don't think that we need to get into this too much and read all of it. But let me get back here to Q's post, and he says, who is Huber? Well, U.S. Attorney John W. Huber has been the lead federal law enforcement official in Utah since he was appointed by Obama in 2015. When Trump was elected, Huber was one of 46 state attorneys asked to resign, but he was one of the very few asked by Sessions to return to the position for an additional 4 years. Before assuming the role of Utah's U.S. Attorney, Huber was Assistant U.S. Attorney for 13 years. Huber has impeccable law enforcement credentials and was perfect for the role Sessions tapped him to execute, that of lone shooter. Turn away from the microphone there. Excuse my cough. I don't know why it is, because I don't cough except for when I start to talk, and then I cough. So, I don't know. It's a mystery. It's an enigma wrapped in a riddle. That's exactly what it is. Now, so let's go back here. Don't want to miss anything. So Sessions tapped him to execute that of lone shooter. Huber's appointment as lone shooter became public when Sessions wrote to Congress explaining why he was not assigning a special counsel to investigate apparent corruption going on in the FBI prior to and after Trump's election. In that letter, Sessions explained that it was all about performance and integrity, but the investigations were ongoing and that he had a duty to keep them confidential. He assured them that the investigations were indeed happening and that they were being led by the appropriate organization, which is the Office of the Inspector General. Sessions explains in the letter that the Office of the Inspector General is the correct organization to investigate the FBI and that he had complete faith in his Inspector General, Michael Horowitz. Okay, so I know that took a long time to explain, but it's all important if we want to understand, because I don't know about you, but there are so many names and there are so many people that have left and been replaced, and it gets very confusing. So I just want to make sure that we're all on the same equal playing field here and that we understand what it is that Q is wanting us to know. Who reconfirmed Huber? Well, it was Trump. Who originally appointed Huber? Barack Obama. Importance of partisan optics? Very. It's very important that Trump appears that he is bipartisan and that he is not pandering to any one party. So the optics are important because this man was appointed under Barack Obama. He was reconfirmed under Trump. So you see what I'm saying? If he comes down hard on people, they're less likely to say, oh, well, yeah, of course, this is a Trump lackey. This way, it appears the optics are more bipartisan. So, mandate charged to Huber. Q is asking us, what was the mandate charged to Huber? What was he supposed to do? Well, he was to work with Horowitz, the Inspector General, and a team of 470 lawyers to investigate the Hillary Rodham Clinton emails, Uranium One, Clinton Foundation, FISA abuse, etc. And both Huber and Horowitz were originally Hussein or Obama appointees rather. Well, they were also employees of Obama, but they were appointed under Obama, both Horowitz and Huber. And then the next question Q asks us is, resources provided to Huber? What were the resources that were given to Huber so that he could do his job? Well, he was given 470 lawyers plus Horowitz, who was the Inspector General. And they were to work together. So now, naturally, this leads Q to the next question. Who is Horowitz? Well, Horowitz became the Inspector General in 2012. In his role, Horowitz oversees a nationwide workforce of more than 450 special agents, auditors, inspectors, attorneys, and support staff whose mission it is to detect and deter waste, fraud, abuse, and misconduct in the Department of Justice programs and personnel, and to promote economy and efficiency in department operations. Sessions made it clear in his letter to Congress that Horowitz was the man for the job and that a special counsel was not necessary. Now, what Q is asking us, what was the mandate charged to Horowitz? Well, he was mandated to investigate crimes committed by the FBI, maybe in covering up the email scandal, maybe in FISA abuse, definitely FISA abuse, and all the Strzok page stuff that went on, that was to be investigated by Horowitz. Now, next, Q asks, what were the resources provided to Horowitz? Well, he had access to 470 lawyers plus Huber. Now, the next thing Q asks is, who was Sessions' chief of staff? Well, oddly enough, it was Matthew Whitaker, the new acting attorney general. Yes, I didn't know that either. I don't know, maybe you did, but I didn't. Now, what were the responsibilities of Whitaker? Well, he was Sessions' boss. He was the chief of staff of the Justice Department. Now, I don't know about you. I wish, and I'd like to get a chart that has all the flow chart of the who everybody reports to. I did have that at one time, and I had it in my mind. I thought indelibly printed in my mind, but since there are people that have left and come, and it's hard to keep up. All right. What were the responsibilities of Whitaker? He was Sessions' boss, chief of staff of the Justice Department. What is the role of chief of staff? Well, they oversee the entire Justice Department. So everything that's under the umbrella of the Justice Department would be under the scope of Whitaker as chief of staff. All right. And then Q says, not asking a question, but making a statement, shadow players are the deadliest. Stealth. So he's letting us know right now, we thought the stealth bomber was Sessions. It's not. It's Whitaker. And this right here is Q telling us so himself. He's saying shadow players are the deadliest. Stealth. And right after, he has talked about Whitaker, because I don't know about you, but I didn't see this coming with Jeff Sessions leaving and being asked to leave, really, being asked to resign, and Whitaker coming in. I just didn't see it coming. So, yeah, what has he been doing in the shadows all this time? And, Q is letting us know that shadow players are the deadliest stealth. Oh, he's been in the shadows all this time. I haven't heard his name mentioned. Have you? I don't think Q has mentioned his name one time in over a year. In fact, I could pretty much guarantee that he hasn't. So he's been off playing in the shadows. Yeah. So what is the advantage of having a temporary acting in a leadership position? Because right now he is the chief of staff, but he will be the acting attorney general. And it will be temporary until a full-time person is found for that position. Well, Q is leaving us here with a link, so let's go take a look. This is a long post, this one post. It is like a monster post. Okay. Anthony Scaramucci fired from the White House after 10 days. Now, this was a while ago. This is the 31st of July, 2017. Now, let me, okay, good. I don't want that playing. Wall Street financier Anthony Scaramucci lasted only 10 days as White House communications director A brief time, but enough to prove controversial. The appointment itself on the 21st of July triggered a shakeup at the Trump White House. Chief of Staff Reince Priebus and spokesman Sean Spicer both left their posts over his hiring. Then, just a week after being named, he launched a strongly worded attack on Mr. Priebus, calling him a paranoid schizophrenic in a conversation with a reporter. In the same phone call, he also directed profanity-laced insults at chief strategist Steve Bannon. Mr. Scaramucci later tweeted his regret at the colorful language, but the damage had already been done. In the same week, reports also emerged that his wife, Deirdre Ball, had filed for divorce. He was having a rough week indeed, wasn't he? So the New York Post said she was fed up with his naked political ambition. Well, I don't mind political ambition in a husband as long as it's naked. Okay, let me go on from that and just forget that I said that. All right, he also missed the birth of his son on the 24th of July as he was traveling with Mr. Trump aboard Air Force One. Okay, well, if I was his wife, I wouldn't be happy with that either, but sometimes. A trip well documented on his Twitter feed where he posted 5 pictures, including one with the president himself, and talked about how humbled and blessed he felt. Mr. Scaramucci, 53, spent much of his 10 days in the job railing against government leakers. Oh, those nasty leakers. I wish somebody would write a song about leakers. I think it would be a big smash hit. Anyway, perhaps ironically, the New York Times, one of the first U.S. media outlets to report his dismissal, relied on 3 unnamed sources close to the decision to break the story. And, topping it all, it was revealed on the same day of his sacking that he had been wrongly declared dead in the latest Harvard Law Review alumni directory. Now that's a rough week. You know, your wife wants a divorce, you're fired, and Harvard Law School says you're dead. I hate when that happens. I wonder if after he died, he voted Democrat. Probably. I don't know. But he's not dead. He's still alive. A spokesman apologized, saying that the error will be corrected in subsequent editions. He graduated from Harvard Law in 1989. All right. And former TV fame, a major Republican donor and founder of investment from Skybridge Capital, Anthony Scaramucci, he's got a mouthful of a name, I'll tell you, served as an advisor on the presidential transition team. He was senior vice president and chief strategy officer at the Export-Import Bank, the U.S. government's export credit agency, before his appointment to the White House. So he was sacked as Trump media chief. Now, I know what you're saying. What is all this stuff? Well, it's all going to come together, maybe, or maybe not. But that's the important part. He was sacked. He only lasted 10 days. So, what is the advantage of having a temp acting in a leadership position? Now, is Q saying that Scaramucci was a temp, that he was just fulfilling a temporary role? And what was that role? Well, I think that Q hints at it, if not right out and tells us. It says the appointment itself on the 21st of July triggered a shakeup at the Trump White House. Chief of Staff Reince Priebus and spokesman Sean Spicer both left their post over his hiring. Now, Q says mission successful. So, from that, I can take, looking at this logically, that was the intended purpose of Mr. Scaramucci in the first place, is to get rid of Priebus and Spicer. That was the purpose. He was temporarily in that role, knowing it would inflame Priebus and Spicer, and they laughed. And Q's saying, mission successful. So, is that what the purpose of having Matthew Whitaker step in as acting Attorney General? Is that the purpose? To make somebody leave? And who would that somebody be? It's not Sessions, because Sessions already left. Maybe it's Rod Rosenstein. That would be my first guess, but let's go on and see what Q is telling us, because my opinions are not important, especially if Q gives us the right clues so that we can figure this out. Now, he says that appointment of Scaramucci triggered the shakeup, leaving of Priebus and Spicer, and Q is saying mission successful. That's what we wanted, okay? Laser designators locked on targets. That's what he's saying. That's what the whole purpose of hiring him and then firing him 10 days later was all about. So, who was assigned directly to Sessions by POTUS? And that would be McMaster. Mandate changed. Maybe that is to Sessions. It could be actually, I'm not sure if I've got the right answer here. It might be actually, he might be looking for the name Ezra Cohen Watnick, but I don't think Ezra Cohen, okay, well, let's just go on. Maybe I'll answer my own question here, because now I'm starting to question something. But who was assigned directly to Sessions by POTUS? I'm going to erase this answer and say, I'm not sure yet. Mandate charged to Ezra Cohen Watnick. Now, Ezra Cohen Watnick was the Defense Intelligence Agency, belonged to the Defense Intelligence Agency, National Security Advisor to Sessions, Counterintelligence and Counterterrorism, who briefed Nunes on classified intel regarding Hussein spy campaign versus POTUS. So who told Nunes, who briefed Nunes that Barack Obama was spying on POTUS? Who did that? That was Ezra Cohen Watnick. I know that is a fact. So I am thinking that the answer to this up here, who was assigned directly to Sessions by POTUS, I would say Ezra Cohen Watnick maybe. But I think that it might answer itself here. Now, all right, let's go to this link right here, because Q wants us to. That's as good a reason as any. And here we are. Trump reportedly ordered the Justice Department to hire a controversial aide previously ousted from the White House. President Donald Trump ordered the Department of Justice. Okay, so that is the answer then. It is Ezra Cohen Watnick, not McMaster, so just strike that from your memory. President Donald Trump ordered the Department of Justice to hire a national security officer, Ezra Cohen Watnick, who was ousted from his White House last year. Cohen Watnick drew public scrutiny when it was revealed last year that he briefed Representative Devin Nunes on classified intelligence concerning the Obama administration's incidental surveillance of Trump transition officials. At DOJ, the young and relatively inexperienced staffer will hold an influential position advising Attorney General Jeff Sessions on counterintelligence and counterterrorism. So yes, POTUS directly assigned Ezra Cohen Watnick to Jeff Sessions. When former National Security Advisor H.R. McMaster took over from his ousted predecessor, Michael Flynn, he cleaned house, removing a host of top officials who served under Flynn's brief and controversial leadership. It took McMaster nearly 6 months to get rid of one particular aide, 31-year-old Ezra Cohen Watnick, whom Flynn brought on to serve as the president's senior director for intelligence programs. Cohen Watnick was protected by top White House advisor Jared Kushner and former chief strategist Steve Bannon. Last August, McMaster finally managed to oust the young staffer who went on to work for the national security company Oracle. But Cohen Watnick has resurfaced and will become a national security advisor to Attorney General Jeff Sessions According to reporting by multiple news outlets on Wednesday, White House aides told Bloomberg that the president ordered the move. So Trump ordered the move. What is the date on this? It is April 11th, 2018. So this was back in the spring. Now, Cohen-Watnick drew public scrutiny when it was revealed last year that he and another White House aide briefed Representative Devin Nunes, the Republican chairman of the House Intelligence Committee, on classified intelligence briefings showing the government's incidental surveillance of the Trump transition team. The Nunes scandal cemented Cohen-Watnick's reputation as a loyalist and as someone who could withstand the heat of public controversy. The Atlantic's Rosie Gray wrote in a July 2017 profile of him. Nunes used the information to support Trump's unsubstantiated claims that the Obama administration wiretapped Trump Tower during the election. The congressman was soon forced to recuse himself from the politically polarized inquiry, which later fell apart. A military and intelligence hawk, Cohen-Watnick has advocated for expanding U.S. involvement against Iran-backed militias in Syria and for more aggressive intelligence operations in Russia and China. But overall, not much is known about the policies of Cohen-Watnick, who served for several years as an intelligence analyst with the Defense Intelligence Agency. Few higher-ups from the DIA remember him, Gray wrote. Doug Wise, formerly Flynn's top deputy at the DIA, told The Atlantic last year it was noteworthy that someone with very limited experience is appointed to such a senior and critical position. So, that answers that question. So, Ezra Cohen-Watnick was assigned directly to Sessions by POTUS. And who briefed Nunes on classified intel? It was Ezra Cohen-Watnick. Who briefed Goodlatte and Gowdy on classified intel regarding DOJ and FBI? Ezra Cohen-Watnick, again, briefed Nunes on Hussein's spying on Trump transition team. McMaster pushed him out afterwards, but POTUS later ordered the DOJ to hire him as National Security Advisor to Sessions. So these are all these questions that Q is asking, and they're quite involved, really, because you have to understand the whole history of kind of what has taken place over the last year, which is a lot. And, I think it is going to be especially important that we understand all this in the coming days, because I do believe that, I don't know what that sound was, I do believe that a lot of stuff is going to be declassified, and I think that hopefully things are going to start moving. Now, it's interesting because he leaves 3 of these little things right here. Now, I used one when I put my notes in here, so that really shouldn't be there, but there are 3 of these, and I don't know why. So I would assume that they mean something. Q does not usually do things for no reason. So see all these little points here? Well, he leaves 3 blank. So there are 3 more points that should be there that aren't. Now, I don't know what that means. Perhaps it could mean anything. It means to me that, okay, all of these, every single point has one of these, right? And then there's 3 with no points there. So that is probably still classified, and he can't tell us. So that's what I would assume. Then he says, the world is watching, which we know. The world is witnessing the true identity of the Democrat Party. War. Q. Now, what does he mean by war? I don't know. Is that the incident that's going to happen on the 11th? Is there something going to happen? Is that why the president is out of the country? I don't know. I wish I did. I just keep hearing that the 12th is the economic reset, and I hear this from people that know a whole lot more about this financial stuff than I do. But I keep hearing it and I keep hearing it. And these are not people that are slouches, that, these are people that should know. So I don't know. You guys can let me know what you think. I don't know. So let's go on though and see what Q has to say, because that is why we're here. And next we get to this post right here. And this should look familiar to us because we looked at it before. We actually looked at it on November 2nd. And remember that these large dots are, well, what Q did, well, actually it was an anon that did it. He overlaid the large immigrant populations with, the map of where the Democrats were, and showed that not only were the areas that had the largest immigrant populations, the largest concentration of immigrants, they were mainly Democrat. Well, they were all Democrat, and they were also high crime areas. So that is quite interesting to see that right there. You can't argue with that. And he says, amazing what you discover when you research for yourself. God bless you, patriots. Q. Now, that was from November 2nd, and then Q adds this. This is just a small list of things requiring ID, but not considered racist. Purchase alcohol, purchase cigarettes, open bank account, apply for food stamps, apply for welfare, apply for Medicaid, apply for Social Security, apply for a job, apply for a mortgage, apply for unemployment, apply for a hunting license, apply for a fishing license, rent a house or an apartment, buy a house or condo, drive a car, rent a car, buy a car, drive a car, rent a car, buy a car, register a car, rent a hotel, motel room, buy an M-rated video game, boarding an airplane, get married, purchasing a gun, purchase ammo for gun, adopt a pet, get a prescription, donate blood, pawn shop transitions. Showing ID to vote is considered racist? How stupid is that? Well, I'd say it's pretty darn stupid if you ask me, and but it's stupid like a fox, because that is how they get their votes. That's how the Democrats win elections, because you don't need ID. That means if you're dead, you can vote, or if you're, you could register your pet to vote. I don't know. All these people that are dead and gone, not even in the state anymore, are being sent provisional ballots. I don't understand that. And people that are not in the country legally are fully allowed to vote with no questions asked. So that is how the Democrats win elections. We know that. And underneath, Q says, will recent expected voter fraud actions by the Democrat Party provide support for a voter ID law? Voter ID law equals death of the Democrat Party. Boomerang suicide? Q. Now, we know that there is going to be a backlash, and I can just about guarantee that people will start requesting a voter ID law. But you know that is going to be fought tooth and nail by the Democrats. Why? Because if you institute a voter ID law, that's the death of their party. We know that. I mean, that's really easy to figure out. So, boomerang suicide, because, that's what's going to happen. We know that. And they know that. That's why they're against the voter ID, right? Makes perfect sense. I mean, in a twisted way. They can't win an election the right way. They have to win the election with people like Brenda Snipes down in Broward County, who just invents ballots out of nowhere. Here they are. And that's what they do. Or, dead people, people that they don't take them off the roll. Dead people are notorious for voting. Really. Okay, now let's go back up to the next one. Well, we're not going back up, we're just going up. All right, now the next one is just a link. So let's go look at the link. Let's go slowly and look at the link. We can hold hands and skip there if you want. Okay, here we are. Let me close down a few things. Maybe I'll get this going a little faster. Okay, this is a Bing, and I like that they didn't use Google. They used Bing. And someone put in QAnon. Well, Q actually put in QAnon. And this is what came up. All of this about, we've got alt-right conspiracy group QAnon won't stop believing in its Trump-related prophecies even after they fail. And then Jeff Sessions, the 2018 midterms, and the continued grift of QAnon. QAnon believers are taking Trump's presser as a sign. And from trolling to fleecing, co-creator of Q hoax explains its scary evolution. Okay, well, I don't know who that is that's claiming to be the co-creator of the Q hoax, but it is not true. And of course, we know that. Proud Boys, Laura Loomer, joined gathering of conspiracy theorists, celebrity trolls in Florida to stop votes being counted. Yeah, that's not exactly what they're doing, but you know, if their mouths are open, they're lying. Trump campaigned to protect himself, not help Republicans. QAnon conspiracy theorists warned that Antifa would ruin the election. Mockery ensued. How Muse became one of the world's biggest rock bands. Okay, well, that has nothing to do with Q, but yeah, it brings up all this stuff. And, you know, mostly poking fun at anybody who would be stupid enough, in their opinion, to follow Q. Imagine when the world, when Q is, you know, revealed to the world. Imagine how silly they'll feel then. But they probably know that already. A lot of these people in media, they know full well that Q is who he says he is. But, you know, they do their jobs because they're told to. There are no real journalists anymore. Not like the old days. No, the old days people actually went out and they investigated a story and they stuck by it and they told you the truth about what they had found. Not now. I mean, it's the same talking points in every single channel. It's just like the same words coming out of every single person's mouth, and they're told what to say. And you know what? They're told what to say regardless of their own personal opinions because they're not paid to have an opinion. So there you go. Anyway, let's go back to Q because we can. Now, here, I thought this was interesting. This person, extrovert covert, QAnon update November 10th, said this Bing search returns hit pieces by the weaponized media on the conspiracy theory Q. Why is it that these same news agencies will not ask POTUS, is QAnon real? They know it is, and they're completely in a panic mode. They dare not ask that heavily baited question. Their attempts are efforts to made to debunk Q, most often through disinformation. They don't want to confirm Q. You're right. I mean, if I was a journalist and I was assigned to the White House, my gosh, I would be all over that. I mean, all over that. I cannot imagine why people are not asking the president, who is Q? Do you believe in Q? Is Q a conspiracy? Why are they not asking these? Because they know. They already know. Yep. All right. And next, we have this little oddity. And it looked familiar to me, and I was right. This is the second time that Q has posted this. It says future comms, and then pre-stage, and then on ready, Q. I don't know. I wish that I could say that I knew what it means. I don't, but what I can do is, here is the original one, and it was made on May 4th, 2018, so back in the spring, right before the summer, and it was the exact same post, and here he is posting it again. Now, and then he posted it with this little picture called Justice, and it has a cannon being shot. So I don't know. Now this person said this is the same cryptic message dropped by Q back on the 4th of May 2018. At that time, Q started the read-only Patriots Fight board. Similarly, Q has started a new PF board now. Future Comms new board on ready. Now, I don't know. I have not heard that he has created a new board, so I don't know. Is that so? Where have I been? I don't know. I didn't hear about it. Why didn't anybody tell me? I'm a little bit, I don't know. Maybe there is a new board. I think it's the same old board that's always been there, but I don't know. You guys chip in, let your voice be heard in the comments, if for anything else than to amuse me, because some of the comments are hysterical. Really, you're missing a lot if you're not reading the comments. And some of you guys that just hang around and don't comment, come on, comment. Honestly, most of the people that are regular listeners are pretty kind people, and they're not going to, bite your head off or anything. So yeah, let's hear from everyone. It's fun. I really do enjoy the posts. I learn a lot. And I get to know y'all too. So I feel then that there's a two-way communication happening. But anyway, let's go on. The next post is again from November 9th. I guess after I had uploaded my last video, Q was busy late at night posting. So anyway, that's good. He posted this, and then I made it a little bit bigger here so that we could see it, because I know some of you are on your itty-bitty phones. They're so teeny tiny. I don't know why I said it that way. I really don't know. I wonder about myself sometimes, but what can you do? So there's a little American flag here, and it says Patriot, a person who loves, supports, and defends his or her country and its interests with devotion. That's us. Yeah, you and me. We're patriots. A person who regards himself or herself as a defender, especially of individual rights, against presumed interference by the federal government. Traitor, a person who betrays another, a cause, or any trust. A person who commits treason by betraying his or her country. That's not us. No, that's not us. All right. I think that's pretty self-explanatory, and so I'm going to go on to the next one. And here is another big monster one. Now, this, we've moved over into the 10th now, okay? So we're making headway. And this is about the California fires. There is no reason for these massive, deadly, and costly forest fires in California, except that forest management is so poor. Billions of dollars are given each year with so many lives lost, all because of gross mismanagement of the forests. Remedy now or no more federal payments. Now, Q had told us before that these fires were being started because federal money had been cut off because of the sanctuary cities. So the federal government had cut off the funding, so they started these fires so that they could get federal emergency money. That's what Q had stated quite a while ago. I don't know how long ago now, but it was a while. So let's go down and see what Q is saying. What happens when California is in serious debt and lost priority aid from the federal government due to sanctuary status? Illegal. The sanctuary cities, they were harboring illegals and so forth, and Trump told them in no uncertain terms, you either get rid of that or you're not getting federal funding. Well, federal funding was cut off. They're in serious debt. So what do? Start fires. What happens when California is in serious debt and lost priority aid? Light fires. Declare state of emergency and require billions from the federal government. Why did POTUS reject in the past? Sick people. The more you know. And of course, we're not going to go out and read all these because this will be like 3 hours long if I do that. So, Washington Post, National Security, Justice Department sues California over sanctuary laws that aid those in the U.S. illegally. And what else here? From Forbes, the top 4 reasons California is unsustainable. And then the LA Times. LA and California Wildfire Funds, I don't know what that is about actually, but along the same lines. And I have heard that the forests are mismanaged, that there's a lot of things that they could be doing to prevent these fires that they're not doing, aside from the fact that there's a lot of suspicion around these fires, that that they are started by lasers or what have you. There's all sorts of like directed energy weapons. They call it directed energy weapons. And also it's interesting because more than one person in the comments from the last video noted that they were spraying heavily in these areas where the fires were, that they were spraying the chemtrails, just, an enormous amount of chemtrails were being sprayed in the atmosphere, and that the aluminum acts as an accelerant to the fire. So yeah, I mean, it's horrible to think about, because I know if I had my house, just a house, and I knew that it was started on purpose and I lost my house and everything in it, I would be so irate. And what do you do about it? How do you get justice for that? And that's just a house. That doesn't, even touch the people that have died, lost loved ones, people that couldn't get out. There was something on LiveLeak that I clicked on, and I really should not have, because this man was describing, he was elderly and he had gone to his friend's house because his friend was crippled and was in a wheelchair and could not get out. He and his elderly mother, this man that was in the wheelchair and his elderly mother, the mother insisted that she take time to put on her makeup, and they died because of it. But what happened was, this one guy that had gone there to rescue them ran down a canyon with his dog and got in the water as the fire roared over him, and he was absolutely terrified and thought that he was going to die. Well, as he climbed back up and he started recording, all of the cars that had been on the road, some people had made it out of their cars, but they were just skeletons. They had been burned to death. They were all dead. And it just absolutely, I don't know, it really affected me, because I thought these people were just trying to get out alive, and I mean, just in the wrong place at the wrong time, because you could see just up ahead it didn't seem so burned. I just, and I'm sure you've seen the other one where the lady is going through this whole tunnel of fire and she's saying, Lord Jesus, protect us. So I don't know, it's awful. It's absolutely awful what people are facing, and I don't want to think that somebody would be that depraved that they would start a fire on purpose, but I think that's what we're looking at, and that's certainly what Q is telling us. So I don't know why Q would lie about that, and it goes hand in hand with the eyewitness accounts of those that have been in the fire and have seen what's happened. So and another thing I read tonight, there was a picture, I didn't actually click on it to look at it because I was in a hurry, but they said you could see the inside of the tree burning, but the other leaves and everything weren't caught on fire. Like, how does that happen? These are not normal fires. They're not. So if you have any comments about that below, please put that in the description or in the comments below, because it could help other people. Now, do you believe in coincidences? No, I don't. How many coincidences before it becomes mathematically impossible? Expand your thinking. Amount of fires in California past 12 months. Amount of fires in California past 10 years. Now, I have not researched this. I would like to, but it wouldn't surprise me if an anon comes up with those exact figures. We know that it must be astronomical, or else Q would not bring it up. There has to have been a lot more fires in the last 12 months than the last 10 years. And date, because I have been talking to my friends in the States and said, what is with these fires in California? Why? Why now? The conditions have been there before. Why now? And it's just, the last 12 months, fire after fire after fire after fire. There's something up. And so, amount of fires in the last 10 years, well, obviously, there must be a huge uptick in the fires in the last 12 months for Q to mention it. Date, federal funding cut off from California as a result of violations of sanctuary state city. Well, I remember that happening, and I would say it was about a year ago, but I could be wrong. California budget cuts past 12 months regarding fire and prevention. Reduce, eliminate dry brush cleanup. So what he's saying is they've made cuts in terms of their fire and prevention. Now, why? Because federal funding has been cut, and they're cutting from these places because they certainly want to be able to continue to fund their sanctuary cities, don't they? So they have cut the fire and prevention funds. They've reduce the amount of money devoted to dry brush cleanup, which is very important in fire prevention, of course, and they have reduced or eliminated the cleanup of the tree line, and they have reduced or eliminated fire break installations, reduced or eliminated chopper flyovers to target high exposure areas. They've reduced or eliminated population area exposure and fire break safety management. Now, I don't know what a fire break safety is. I'm not sure, but I can guess, just like y'all can, and we'd probably be right, but probably somebody in firefighting would be able to let us know far more accurately. Reduce or eliminate use of inmate correction facilities for highway cleanup and dry brush removal. Now, how does that cost them money? How does that cost them money really by using inmates to clean this up, clean up the brush and clean up the tree line and so forth? I don't understand that. What is the primary purpose of declaring a state of emergency? Well, the primary purpose of declaring a state of emergency is to get federal funding, because once you declare a state of emergency, then a state can receive funds from the federal government. I know that for a fact because of being in Louisiana. What determines the size of the federal payment to the state that has declared a state of emergency? Now, I don't know that. I don't know. What determines the size of the payment? Probably the size of the disaster and how many people are affected and what needs those people have. Like, these people will have to be housed. They will have to be, even just all the rescue and all that. It all costs money. So I don't know. If anybody knows the answer to that, please put it in the comments below. What is the current debt of California? Now, I'm not sure about that either. And again, this is something I'm going to have to look into a little bit further. I know that they are very, very, very much in debt. I know that they are practically bankrupt. Anyway, Q says, the more you know, Q. But the point of all this is to show us that these are not accidents. They're not accidents. They want to be able to fund their sanctuary cities. The federal government said, no, you cannot have these sanctuary cities, and we will cut off funding. Well, that's what they did. They cut off funding. So what are they doing now? They're starting fires so they can declare a state of emergency and get the federal funding. Yeah. They're just, I guess it just doesn't matter if people lose their lives in the meantime. I guess it doesn't matter to them about the pets killed and the forests that they kill and all the animals in the forest. They don't care. They don't care. Now, let's look at this now. Here is the next one. November 10th, the Scarmusi play. And we just went over this, the whole Scarmusi play, where he was put in to get two other people out. Temporary hire to remove embedded untrustworthy staffers. Spicer and Priebus. Temps can be very dangerous to those who are targeted. Think Whitaker. So he's wanting us to take what happened with Scarmusi and apply it to Whitaker. Whitaker is a temp, and he is dangerous to those who are targeted. Well, who is targeted? We don't know yet. We can surmise. I would surmise that it's Rosenstein, but I've been wrong before. Think Whitaker, and then he says next week. White House optics must remain stable. Now, why? Well, all eyes are on the president. We know that, right? And he can't do anything right in terms of the media. There's nothing he can do that will make them say, oh, he's done a good job with that. That's not going to happen. So, yeah, the White House, the optics have to remain stable. Now, he says, now below, let me see here. Let me get to this link. Oh, crap. Do I not have this link? What is the matter with me? Why didn't I put that link there? Okay, hang on here. We're going to have to just take a quick ride over here and we're going to have to go up to this. This is the board here, and we're going to go up to find that link because it contains all the people that have left. And that's important. I guess I could tell jokes or whistle or do something. Okay, here it is. Let's go here. Okay, a list of officials who have left the Trump administration. Interesting. Interesting. And where is it here? Gotta get rid of this. Okay, well, I'm not going to read all this, but I will read the names because obviously. Okay, who is this? McMaster. So I guess he's the first. Well, let's go all the way up, for heaven's sakes. Why does he just put it in a list form? I should have done that beforehand. Okay, so McMaster is one. Secretary of Veterans Affairs, David Shulkin. He was 408 days in his tenure. H.R. McMaster. He was a National Security Advisor. He was 413 days in his tenure. Rex Tillerson. He was the Secretary of State. He was 406 days in his tenure. John McEntry. He was personal aide. He was 417 days in his tenure. Ooh, he was escorted out of the White House. Gary Cohen. He was the director of the National Economic Council and the chief economic advisor to the president. He was 411 days in his tenure. And Hope Hicks. Her most senior title was communications director. Her resignation was announced on February 28, 2018. Well, we don't need to know that. 405 days in her tenure. Rob Porter. He was the White House staff secretary. He was 384 days in his tenure. Omarosa, everyone remembers her, never did like her. I remember seeing The Apprentice, and I was never really watched it, but I did watch it when she was on because I just could not believe her. And I still can't. She was the director of communications for the Office of Public Liaison. She was 366 days in her tenure. And Dinah Powell. And she was a deputy national security advisor. She was 358 days in her tenure. And Tom Price, Secretary of Health and Human Services, 232 days in his tenure. Sebastian Gorka, Deputy Assistant to the President, 208 days in his tenure. Oh, I don't care about a Walmart survey. Steve Bannon, Chief Strategist and Senior Counsel, 211 days in his tenure. Anthony Scaramucci, White House Communications Director, 6 days in his tenure. Ooh. And Reince Priebus, he was the White House Chief of Staff, 190 days in his tenure. Sean Spicer, White House Press Secretary, 183 days in his tenure. Mike Dubke, White House Communication Director, 74 days in his tenure. James Comey, FBI Director, 1,344 days in his tenure. Mike Flynn, National Security Advisor, 25 days in his tenure. Sally Yates, 11 days in her tenure. She was the acting Attorney General. And other notable departures: Stephen Goldstein, Josh Raphael, Rick Dearborn, Deputy Chief of Staff, George Sifakis, Office of Public Liaison, Ezra Cohen-Watnick, Senior Director for Intelligence Program, National Security Council, Michael Short, Senior Press Assistant, Walter Schaub, Director, Office of Government Ethics, Vivek Murthy, Angela Reed, Kathy Walsh, Preet Barbera, U.S. Attorney. So, yeah, there's a lot of people. There's a lot of people. And now, let's go back to Q. So, Q is saying many did not leave by choice. Save face and promote Make America Great Again or be exposed. Less than 10. Less than 10. Now, I don't know what he means by this less than 10. I remember him saying that there were less than 10 people who knew who Q was. So I don't know. But then he says attacks occur in all directions. Logical thinking. Why attack a movement simply by design, asking people to think for themselves? That is a good question, because a lot of people have called it a cult, but no cult leader asks people to think for themselves. No, they think for the people and tell them what to think, like the mainstream media does. That is exactly how cults operate. They tell you what to think. They tell you what is appropriate to think, and they tell you what emotions you should feel. Q doesn't do that. So why attack a movement that's asking people to think for themselves? Because control equals power. Why are the biggest news companies in the world continuing to attack this movement? Well, we know why. Why is the Washington Post leading the attacks? Because it's the Washington Post and it's owned by Jeff Bezos, who owns Amazon, who hates the president, and who is very, very Democrat in their leaning. So you attack those the most who are the biggest threat, right? Absolutely. Swamp contains red and blue. Q. So in case we had any doubt whether there were red swamp members, there are. It's not just the Democrats. There are Republicans that are in the swamp as well, and they must be exposed. So it's interesting because I think things are really heating up. That's my understanding anyway. And let's look at this. Here's the next one. Dark to light. We've heard that many, many times before. Dark to light. Florida and Arizona attempts to steal the elections. Do not look here. California shooting and fires. Same locations. Look here next week. Okay, so what he is saying is they don't want us to look at what's happening in Florida and Arizona. So they have the fires and the shooting in California. So we look over here. Pay attention over here. Don't look over here. Look over here. And then Q puts in kill brackets next week. So something is coming next week. What is it? I don't know. Um, I don't know at this point. Maybe it's the declassification. That would be wonderful. In fact, I think we should bake a cake when that happens. I don't know where that came from. I don't know where it came from, but I'd bake a cake if I could share it with you all. I think that would be wonderful fun. But yeah, baking a cake, you know what would happen? Well, I'd eat it, and yeah, I don't need to be any bigger. So I would like to be much smaller, actually, and eating cake is not the way to get there. So anyway, this is pretty self-explanatory, so we're going to go on to the next Q post, and it says, when did the White House leaks cease? I would say about a year ago. Who was removed? Sealed to unsealed. Now, Sessions announced establishment of the National Insider Threat Task Force on the 4th of August 2017, and that was specifically to go after leakers in the White House, because nobody wants leaks in the White House because people have to clean it up. So anyway, all the leaks stopped though after they renounced the security clearances. You know, oh, who all? I can't even remember now. There was a list of them, but those security clearances that were revoked, that's when the leaks all stopped. So, I don't know. Coincidence? I don't think so. And let's go up to here. No, let's not. Let's go up to here to where it really starts. Okay, and an anon has put in this, and what I've done is I've made it larger down here so we can actually read it. And Q says, expand further. So he leaves us a link, but let's take a look at this a little bit bigger where you can see it. Nicholas Cruz, Broward County. Caesar Sayok, Broward County. Mohammed Atta, Broward County. Didn't know that. Race Alam and Sheharar Alam Kaza, I don't know who these people are. Broward County. Jose Padilla, Broward County. Imran Farouk Mantai, I don't know, I'm massacring these names. Broward County. Sammy L. Arian, Broward County. James Gonzalo Medina, Broward County. Gee, I see some, a trend here. Officials and agents in Broward County. Scott Israel. Oh, we've heard that name lots, haven't we? Broward County. Debbie Wasserman Schultz. Oh, well, Broward County. And then there was that guy that was sent down to investigate election fraud, and he was found, it was all I remember is his face. I don't remember his name, but he was a big, strapping black guy, and he was an attorney, I believe, and he was going down there to investigate voter fraud. Now, this was a while ago, and he was found with a gunshot in his head, and he was found on the beach with a gunshot in his head, and I think they ruled that suicide. Yeah, boy, a lot of that going around. Anyway, David Hogg, our little friend, Hogg boy there, he's from Broward County too. So let's go up here and look at this, because this is tampabay.com, and it's about prominent terror cases with ties to Florida. Well, there's a lot. Excuse me. I bet you can hear this really loud when I do this. I'm sorry. I'm like, there's something wrong with me. I like to torment people. Anyway, prominent terror cases with ties to Florida. And look at them all. I'm not going to read all these. I've got Diet Coke on my keyboard now. Yeah. This goes into all the details of this and all of these terror, which we just read that list. And this kind of goes into everything that they've done, who they are, blah, blah, blah. But I'm not going to take time to do that, because what is going to happen is this is just going to be like a monster of, it's going to be like a 3-hour long video that nobody listens to. So I'm trying to speed it up here. All right. So that, I think Q is making a point there that there's a whole lot of terrorism going on in Broward County, Florida. Yeah. And here is the next one. And it's got a link here and it says, excuse me, we knew then, we know now. This time we have government control. Boomerang suicide. Q. Now, it goes out to this, and I put this down here too because it's just, this isn't from Q. I just saw it on Donald Trump. I do follow his tweets, and he said, trying to steal two big elections in Florida? We are watching closely. And I bet they are. Now, let's go out to this. And this is 11/3/2016. This is my Chelsea Smith, and this is an SOE affidavit, which I'm not exactly sure what SOE stands for, but I bet you somebody does. And this is her affidavit saying that she says, my name is Chelsea Marie Smith. I'm over the age of 18. I am of sound mind and I have personal knowledge of the facts contained in this affidavit. I was employed through a temporary employment agency, K-Force, and was working full-time at the Broward County Supervisor of Elections, herein SOE, Supervisor of Elections. That's what SOE stands for. Main office in Lauderhill, Florida. My duties included clerical work as well as delivering various items as needed throughout the office. My regular hours were from 8 a.m. until approximately 9 p.m. depending on the need. As an employee, I regularly clocked in and out of work as required. Now, what she goes into is how she witnessed cheating. She witnessed fraud. And I don't think we have to, there's 2 pages of this, and I don't think it's necessary we read it all because that is what it's about. It's about her witnessing this and making this affidavit swearing that she witnessed fraud in Broward County, Florida. So that is what Q wanted us to see. And we're going to go back here. And what he's saying is, okay, that was back in 2016. He's saying, we knew then, we know now. But this time, we have government control. Boomerang suicide Q. Now, I put this little meme here because I thought it was well done. It says, so they steal the House with rampant election fraud while we're monitoring their every move. Then we immediately expose the fraud. Now, voter ID laws get passed unobstructed in the Senate, killing them stone dead. This is officially the last election the Democrats will ever win. You know something? If they put voter ID laws into practice and stick to it, yeah, they're not going to win. And I liked this because it has Wile E. Coyote with a Democrat here, and it says, all in one, vote fraud and voter ID suicide kit. Illegals, stolen battles. Boomerang suicide. Bye-bye. Yeah, the voter IDs are going to pretty much take care of that. Now, I wish we didn't have to have that. I wish that we could use, but I don't know how we could get around it, to tell you the truth. I don't know. So anyway, that's what's coming. And this is a link to a Twitter, and it says, we thank you for your service, Patriot. May God watch over you and your family for all eternity. Semper Fi, Q. And let's go take a look. It's a nice picture, actually. Sorry about the coughing. I don't understand. Okay. Who said at Real Donald Trump supporters are all stupid and uneducated? We are from every walk of life. Semper Fi Marines. Happy birthday, 243rd, because it's the Marines' birthday. U.S. Marine Corps, Semper Fi. I think that's how you pronounce that. Make America Great Again. QAnon, best president ever. I agree. And look at him with his 2 beautiful girls. They are absolutely beautiful. And he looks quite dashing in that uniform. I don't know what it is about women and men in uniforms, but there really is something about that, at least for me. There is something nice just seeing a man in their uniform for the Marines or whatever it is. It's a nice look. So anyway, Good for him, and good for Q for calling him out, calling his attention to him. So then we have this. Now, this, we're getting up there. We're almost there, okay? But this is a really odd one because Q said, "Sheep no more. American patriots united. Fight, fight, fight." Well, that's all well and good. No, I wasn't giving you the finger. Really, I wasn't. And I wasn't picking my nose either. I was scratching just the very edge. All right. Now, the Associated Press, let's go take a look at this because it's weird. I'm thinking it's weird. I'm one to talk about being weird. All right, let's click on this and make it bigger. Now, here is this this picture of all these sheep in a street, and it's by the Associated Press. And it says, the Associated Press, of course, news from the Associated Press and a taste of the great journalism produced by AP members and customers managed 24/7 by these editors, blah, blah, blah. And then down here it says, it describes, okay, we've got a bunch of sheep up here, and then it says that press ganged into service, animals were vital cogs in World War I and died by the millions. Now, Q is telling us that we are not sheep. We're not sheep anymore. We're not cogs in their wheels to die by the millions. That's what Q is telling us here. That's what I believe. I think the message is very clear when you look at this and see all these sheep, and below they're talking about animals being used as vital cogs in World War I and dying by the millions. I think that that it's quite clear what he's alluding to here. So let's go back. That's it. That is what he is talking about, and it's an odd little post, but it's interesting nonetheless. So let's go on. And this anon says, will election fraud be revealed soon? Now, this was April 19th, 2018. So that's an odd question for way back then. Will election fraud be revealed soon? And Q response, this was on April 19th, 2018. Yes, midterms are safe. Watch California. Q. This was way back in April. Way back in April. So how did he know about the shooting at Borderline? Borderline. There's something to that. And how did he know about the fires? News unlocks. Q. That's what he put underneath. And it does, doesn't it? Future unlocks past. Past proves future. Future proves past. I don't know what the saying is now. I've been talking for so long. I'm like, okay. And here we go. Up here. Now, I think we're getting to the last, I hope, because this is getting very, very long. And I do apologize. I should have maybe broken it up into two, but I didn't want to do that either. So he's saying here, first of all, I've made this quite a bit bigger. He has two posts from before. One is from January 19th, 2018, and one is from August 15th, 2018. And this is the one, this one, of course you can't, I don't know why I do that because you can't see where I'm pointing. Hussein cabinet staff who used private email addresses, what was the purpose? And Loretta Lynch, Hillary Rodham Clinton, James Comey, James Clapper, Chuck Schumer, A.M. Okay, that one isn't coming to mind right away. Anyway, we don't say his name. That's McCain. Rod Rosenstein, S.R. I should know that. J.B. H.A. Huma Abedin. Valerie Jarrett is V.G. J.B. James Brenner. S.R. I can't think of right now. Anyway, did Hussein use a private email address? Yes, he did. Who just resigned from Google? That was Eric Schmidt. Who just resigned from Google? Eric Schmidt. Why was Eric Schmidt in North Korea? Well, we know that. We've already looked into this. What private network did Eric Schmidt set up in North Korea? We already looked at that a long time ago. Who else was in North Korea during this time? That I can't remember. What private email address did Hussein use? Blah, blah, blah. So this is asking about the email addresses that they used that were private. It wasn't just Hillary. And it's saying the shot heard round the world. Declass, POTUS. So when he declassifies that, it's going to be the shot heard round the world. So that's something to look forward to. And then Q also states text, emails, Gmail, drafts, Gmail, ham communications, ham radio communications, PS, that's PS, Xbox, chat logs, JC, Barack Obama, Chuck Schumer, Loretta Lynch, number 2, no, SY, bonus round Q. So he's talking here about their communications and how they communicated via private email addresses. And now Q is giving a status here. And he's saying dig deeper. Reread drops regarding Gmail plus Xbox PS communications. There is a reason why directly after the drop, Microsoft shut down their entire network to erase collected and stored data. Sometimes people need to see the future in order to save the past. Q. Now, if we go out to this status, we will see this article. And it says, well, isn't this interesting? Comey had sensitive FBI emails on private Gmail account. Comey had sensitive FBI emails on private Gmail account. At least 7 messages on former FBI Director James Comey private Gmail account were so sensitive that the Department of Justice declined to release them. So we're not going to go out and read that whole thing right now. I may touch on some of this in Q-related news tomorrow if Q has slacked off a little bit in his posting because he was ambitious today. But this is something that we may get into later as well. Now, let's go up here. I think we are getting to the, yes, that's the last one. So, I think the important part here is, too, he's reminding us of all this and saying that the POTUS declass will be the shot heard round the world. Now, he keeps hinting about next week. Is the declass next week? That would cause a huge, there would be repercussions on that. I don't even know what would happen. It would be like dropping a massive something in the ocean and just watching the waves come out, because it's gonna be massive. So anyway, that is it for tonight. I am really tired of talking, and I am quite certain you are very tired of hearing me talk. So I'm going to quit there, and I will keep an eye out. Well, no, I won't keep an eye out because that's painful, and then I wouldn't be able to read it, see, if I kept an eye out. So I will pay attention and stay alert for more Q posts, and I will let you know and bring that to you tomorrow as they happen, when they happen. Alrighty. Have a good night, people. Stay safe. We don't know what this weekend's going to bring. I don't know. I don't know. But remember, 11/11 has been stated a lot. So let's stay alert and see what happens. Anyway, have a good night. Rest well.